Welcome to the deep dive, everybody. Today we are diving into something truly special. We're going to explore the power of human connection.
Ooh, I love this topic.
Right. And to do that, we've got these incredible, heartwarming stories from all around the globe about acts of kindness. Big ones, small ones, doesn't matter. We've got them all. And we're going to unpack what makes them so powerful.
I'm ready.
Why do these little glimpses of, just pure humanity, why do they matter so much?
Yeah.
And there's this one story that just jumps out about a family
Okay.
separated by war, and they are reunited in Damascus.
Wow.
And it is a story about resilience, and it is a story about family bonds. It's just powerful.
That's amazing. It's incredible, how these single acts of kindness, they can have this ripple effect, touching so many lives.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting to me is that they're not always these huge, grand gestures.
Right.
It's those everyday moments where people choose compassion, they choose connection.
Yes, exactly. It's like that story from Tokyo. There was this group of elementary school kids,
Okay.
and they spent their day off cleaning up a local park
Oh.
after a community festival.
Yeah.
Think about that. Instead of hanging out with friends, playing video games, they're like, let's give back to our community.
That is so sweet. It's a really cool example of how, community responsibility is instilled so young
Yeah.
in some cultures. It's just this beautiful idea that we're all connected.
Yeah.
And we all have a part to play in taking care of each other and our spaces.
Absolutely. And that sense of shared responsibility, it's like a thread that connects so many of these stories. Like you see it in Berlin, right? Where this resident sets up a free library
Nice.
and a pantry
Cool.
right outside their home.
Wow.
Take what you need. It's so simple.
Okay.
But it creates this ripple effect
I love that.
of generosity and support in their neighborhood.
It's amazing. What strikes me is, the simplicity of it all.
Yes.
It's not, this big complex system.
Right. It's just seeing a need and responding to it with compassion.
Right.
And we see that same spirit amplified, in this next story from Johannesburg,
Okay.
where we have this group of people. They come together
Yeah.
to deliver hot meals to people experiencing homelessness.
It's amazing how people can come together.
Yes.
Mobilize and just create such a powerful force for good.
Yeah.
It reminds us, even when things are hard, there's always room for compassion, for generosity.
Always.
And speaking of generosity, this story from Chicago really got to me.
Okay.
There's this anonymous donor paid off layaway purchases for families that were struggling financially.
Oh, wow.
It's just such a powerful gesture. It speaks volumes about empathy, recognizing the challenges that people face, especially during tough times.
For sure. And it's not just about the material support. It's about easing stress,
Yeah.
giving people hope.
Exactly. When maybe they feel overwhelmed.
And sometimes, kindness can look like empowering people, giving them knowledge, resources. Like this story from Mumbai, where IT students offered free tech support
Cool.
to these small vendors in a local market.
That's great. I love that. This is a perfect example of how skills and expertise can be used to really lift people up.
Right.
Helping vendors get online, opening up new opportunities. It's immediate impact and long-term impact.
I love that. These stories show us that kindness has so many different forms.
Yeah.
And speaking of different forms of expression, this next story takes us to Nairobi, where a community choir performed for elderly residents at a care home. Just imagine the joy, the connection that music brought to these people, who maybe sometimes feel isolated or forgotten.
Music is so powerful.
Right.
It bridges generations, brings up all these emotions. It's truly a universal language.
Yeah.
It can transcend any barrier and make us feel that shared humanity.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful reminder that just simple acts of creative expression can have such profound impact. And that theme of creative expression continues in Sao Paulo, where this artist, she dedicated her time to painting vibrant murals in a children's hospital.
Oh.
I mean, just think about the healing power of art
Yeah.
to transform those spaces,
Yeah, absolutely.
especially ones associated with illness or stress.
It's amazing. I bet those murals brought so much color and joy to a place that can feel, sterile and overwhelming.
Yeah, you're right. It's amazing how something as simple as a mural can offer an escape
Yeah.
and inspire hope. And sometimes, kindness is just pure instinct.
Right?
Like this story from Sydney, this young man celebrating his birthday.
Okay.
rescued a drowning dog from the ocean.
Wow, that's amazing.
It just speaks to our ability to have compassion, willingness to act selflessly,
Definitely.
even when it might put ourselves at risk.
Yeah.
What struck me was he didn't hesitate, not for a second.
Wow.
He just saw a creature in need, and he acted. It's like we all have that potential for heroism inside of us.
Absolutely. And his bravery, it probably had a ripple effect, too.
Oh, yeah.
Inspiring others to think about how they can make a difference as well.
Exactly. These stories, they show us kindness is contagious. One good deed can inspire countless others.
I love that.
And speaking of inspiring kindness, we have to talk about the Kindness Kiosk in New York City.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
So imagine, you're walking down a busy city street, right? Hustle and bustle all around you, and you come across this little booth.
Okay.
And people are writing these kind messages for strangers to take.
Ah, that's so nice.
It's like a little oasis of positivity in the middle of this crazy metropolis.
That's beautiful.
And it makes you wonder, right? What kind of impact do those messages have
Right.
on the people who receive them?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe they brighten someone's day, offered a connection, or maybe even inspire them to pay it forward. It's a great example of how these small gestures create that ripple effect.
Yes. And it just highlights the power of human connection, even in a place like New York City, which can feel so vast and impersonal.
Right.
And speaking of powerful connections, let's go back to that story we talked about at the beginning. The family reunited in Damascus
Oh, yeah.
after being separated by war. It is a story that really pulls at your heartstrings.
For sure. What's so incredible is, it shows the resilience of the human spirit
Yeah.
and just how powerful family bonds are. Even in the middle of chaos and heartbreak, these volunteers, they worked so hard to bring that family back together.
It just proves that even in the darkest times, love and hope can win.
Mm.
You know what it makes me think of? A comment we got from a listener on our Heartbeat Human Connection series. They said, these stories, they give me hope for humanity. They said, they remind me that there are still good people in the world doing good things.
Aww.
Isn't that nice?
It's so heartwarming to see how these stories are connecting with people from all over. And it speaks to that power of sharing them, right? To remind ourselves and everyone else that there's still so much good out there.
Absolutely. But, it's not always just about these individual acts of kindness.
Right.
Our next segment, it highlights this global movement that's using tech to connect people and make a difference on a huge scale.
Oh, cool.
Get ready for #StreamForHumanity.
Nice.
This online streaming event brings together creators from all over the world
Wow.
to raise money for humanitarian causes. It's just, the reach is amazing.
That's incredible.
Creators from every corner of the globe coming together, sharing their talents, mobilizing their audiences for good.
That's amazing.
And they're doing incredible things. Just today, they hit a major milestone.
Oh, wow.
1 million euros raised. It's a testament to what we can do when we work together
Yeah.
and the potential of technology to connect us in meaningful ways.
It's a shining example of how we can use our skills and our platforms and our networks to make a real difference. And you know what? Anyone can join this movement. Yeah. If you're a creator, a donor, or just someone who wants to spread the word, there's a place for you in Stream for Humanity.
It reminds us that we all have something to offer. As we move into our next segment, I want to encourage all of you listening. Share your stories of kindness.
Yes.
Leave them in the comments. Tag us on social media using #AI4the people. We love hearing how kindness is showing up in your world. But before we get to that, we have one more story
Okay.
that really brings it home, proving that kindness can be found just around the corner in our own neighborhoods.
Love it. We love hearing those personal stories
Yeah.
because it shows that kindness isn't just happening somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's all around us every single day.
So this listener wrote in, told us about their neighbor who, without being asked, decided to clear snow from their driveway
Oh,
after a blizzard. I mean, they didn't have to do it,
right.
but they took the time to lend a hand to make their neighbor's life a little bit easier.
It's beautiful. It's such a simple gesture,
I know.
but it has a huge impact. We often forget about the power of just helping someone out, lending an ear, saying something kind. These little acts of kindness can totally make someone's day.
Exactly. And you know what? It creates that sense of community. It's a great reminder that kindness is all around us, just waiting to be found and shared.
Love that.
And on that note, we'll be back soon with more inspiring stories from around the world.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Before the break, we were talking about how kindness can be found in our own neighborhoods, like right in our
It's
backyards.
true, sometimes without us even realizing it, you know?
Right,
And
exactly.
it's like this warm feeling when you witness these small acts of kindness. They just brighten your day and remind you that, there's still good in the world.
Totally agree. Yeah. And it's like this ripple effect, right? It just spreads outwards and creates this like more positive atmosphere for everybody.
Speaking of positive vibes, I wanted to share this really heartwarming story we got from one of our listeners.
Oh,
It's such a beautiful example of how, like, just a simple gesture can make such a lasting impact.
I'm all ears. Tell me more.
So this listener wrote in and told us about this time when they were having a really tough day,
Oh.
like really rough. They were feeling super overwhelmed, stressed, like nothing was going right.
I think we've all been there. Those days where you just want to like crawl back into bed and disappear.
Exactly. But, as they were walking home from work, they passed by this small flower shop
Okay.
and they decided to go in, just, browse around, hoping to find something to lift their spirits a little bit.
It's amazing how sometimes those small things can really impact our mood?
I know, right? And as they were looking at the flowers, the florist, kind of noticed that they seemed a little down.
Yeah.
So, like, without saying anything, the florist just put together this small bouquet of their favorite flowers
Oh, wow.
and gave it to them for free.
That is so kind and thoughtful. That must have made their entire day.
Oh, absolutely it did.
Hmm.
The listener said they were so touched by the florist's kindness that they actually started crying. They said it
Oh.
was a reminder that even strangers can care and that there's still so much beauty in the world, even when you're feeling down.
It's stories like these that like really restore our faith in humanity and inspire us to be more kind and compassionate ourselves?
And it reminds us that kindness doesn't have to be like this grand, expensive thing.
Right.
It could be as simple as, a smile, a kind word, just a small gesture of support.
Exactly. It's about those small moments of human connection that make all the difference.
And you know what? It makes me think about all the incredible feedback we've been getting on our Heartbeat Human Connection series.
Oh, yeah.
We've been just blown away by the outpouring of support and all the amazing stories that you, our listeners, have been sharing with us.
It's heartwarming to see these stories connecting with people from all walks of life. Reading your comments and seeing how you're connecting with these acts of kindness, it reminds us of the power of storytelling and celebrating the good in the world.
Yeah, and one comment that really stood out to me was from a listener who said, "These stories are like a warm hug for my soul." They said, "They remind me that there's still so much love and kindness in the world."
Oh, I love that.
And another listener shared, "I'm so grateful for this podcast." He said, "It's a much-needed dose of positivity in a world that can often feel overwhelming."
It's true.
It's clear that these stories are really touching people's hearts and inspiring them to act.
For sure.
And that's exactly what we set out to do with Heartbeat, human connections,
Yeah.
to remind everyone that kindness is contagious and that even the smallest acts can have that ripple effect and create a more compassionate and connected world.
So, as we wrap up tonight's episode, we want to leave you with this challenge.
Okay.
What act of kindness will you do today?
What will it be?
Will you offer a helping hand to a neighbor who needs it? Will you write a kind note to a friend who's going through a tough time? Or will you just take a moment to appreciate the beauty around you and share that with someone else?
I like that.
Remember, kindness isn't about these huge life-changing actions. It's about those small choices we make every day, those little acts of love and compassion that like ripple outwards and create that more positive, connected world that we all want to live in.
So join us in this kindness movement, spread those good vibes, and let's make the world a brighter place, one heart at a time.
And don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Heartbeat, Human Connections, where we'll share even more inspiring stories from around the globe, showcasing those amazing ways humans are connecting with each other.
Until then, stay kind, stay curious, and keep those hearts open. Now, before we move on to our final segment, we wanted to circle back to one more story. One that really shows the power of human connection to overcome even the toughest challenges. We were talking about those incredible stories of connection, right? Those ones that show just how powerful human connection can be when it comes to overcoming some serious adversity.
Right, exactly.
And there's this one story, I can't get it out of my head. It's the story of that family in Damascus, the ones who were reunited after being separated by war.
Oh, yeah, that one was powerful. It's like this amazing reminder that even when there's conflict and displacement, family bonds. They can hold strong. They can endure.
Think about it. Years of not knowing, years of just longing and hoping that someday they'd be together again,
Yeah.
and then bam, it happens. Against all odds.
It's incredible. And you know what? It speaks volumes about the people who dedicate themselves to humanitarian aid.
Right.
Driven by compassion and this belief that families should be together, no matter what.
Truly inspiring stuff. And it just brings us back to that idea that even when things are super dark, there's always that little glimmer of hope, that spark of human kindness that can lead the way forward.
It's like we're all connected, right? And our actions, even the tiny ones, they can make a difference, create a ripple.
Exactly. And speaking of creating a more compassionate world, we can't forget about #Stream for Humanity.
Oh, yeah.
They've raised over €1 million for all sorts of humanitarian causes,
Yeah.
connecting creators and viewers from all over the place.
It shows that you don't have to be right there in the thick of things to make a difference.
Right.
We can all use whatever skills we have, our platforms, our connections, to support those who are working hard to make the world a better place.
It's a beautiful reminder that everyone has something to contribute. And that's really what we've been exploring today. This power of human connection to inspire, to uplift, to create real change.
All these stories, from those kids in Tokyo cleaning their park to that family reunited in Damascus, they all point to something really important about being human. We have this ability, this capacity for kindness, compassion, connection.
Yeah.
And when we tap into that, amazing things can happen.
It's been an incredible journey, exploring these heartwarming stories with you all. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question. What act of kindness will you take away from this episode? What kind of ripple will you create in your own little part of the world?
Remember, kindness doesn't have to be some big, showy thing. It's about those everyday moments where we choose to be compassionate instead of indifferent, where we choose empathy over judgment, connection over being alone. It's about seeing the humanity in each other.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope these stories have inspired you, uplifted you, and reminded you that there's so much good in the world.
And if you've got a story about kindness, please share it, leave a comment, or tag us on social media, #AI for the people. We want to hear from you.
Until next time, keep your hearts open and keep spreading those good vibes.